Hi, everyone. Let's talk about zero-cost reporting. Let's say you have some data around that can be either a spreadsheet, a CSV file, maybe a relational database, or maybe you have multiple terabytes of data in an S3 bucket. You might also already have a SQL query that analyzes that data, and you get some results that you want to share with other people, maybe in your company, in your organization. So you don't want to send them around as screenshots or CSV files. You want to be able to, everyone to view them via a hyperlink to have the most up-to-date results. You can use some existing BI tools or analytics tools, but you can see there's a whole lot of them, both commercial and open source. Whatever you choose, you will need to either spend money on it or spend time configuring and maintaining it. So maybe you don't have a lot of that and you don't want to spend a lot. Either way, you have so many options that you can get stuck in analysis paralysis, where you want to have some reports, but you cannot make up your mind, and that's gonna keep you from being able to share results with others. What I want to suggest is to use plain text files for your report results. Keep them in a version control system, for example, Git, and automate generating those reports using workflows. Why plain text files? They have an advantage of being both human readable and machine parsable. So you can, if you view the file, you can easily see the table, and later on you can convert them to a better format, like maybe create a PDF out of them, or a nice HTML page. You can save your queries in a plain text file also. You can then create a Markdown file with your query results by just appending text to another file and execute your query from a file using your favorite SQL client, maybe a CLI client. In this example, I'm piping the results through a CSV to MD command that will help me convert CSV results into a Markdown table. And I'm appending that into a report MD file. The last step would be to commit both the query file and the results file into a Git repository. This gives you two advantages. You can later view the history of all your changes, and you can also compare to commits to see what you changed in both the query and what changed in the results file. So if you don't change the query itself, but keep running it and keep generating new reports, you can always see a difference between different reports. It might turn out that you're using Git with a service that has a web interface. Here I'm showing GitHub, and you can view the Markdown file in GitHub. And you can already tell it's displaying it a little bit better than just the plain text version. It's adding a little bit of formatting. Since if you are actually using GitHub, GitHub has a feature called GitHub Actions, where you can define workflows and that can execute any kind of actions, and we can use this to automate generating the reports. Here I'm showing an example workflow that you have to play, like it's defined as a YAML file that you have to place in a specific path in your repository. And since this is a slightly bigger example that it doesn't even fit on my screen here, let's go through this section by section. So we start with defining when this workflow gets triggered. So here I have 3 different triggers. I have workflow dispatch, which allows to run this manually if I would like to generate the report in a specific point in time. I can also configure this to run on a schedule. And here I have a cron syntax that says that it's going to execute every day at 6 a.m. UTC. And it also can run on any push to the main branch. For example, if I'm going to change the query that I committed in this repository, and I push this change, it's going to fire up and also generate the report again. The next is to define the jobs that will be executed in this workflow. So here you can see we're running those. We will be running those steps on an Ubuntu-based virtual machine. This is a temporary machine, so it's created just for every workflow run and will be destroyed later. So we don't have to worry about the state of this machine. And the first step that gets executed here in this job is checking out the current repository. We need this to have the query file that we'll be executing. The next step would be to install some dependencies. We need at least the CSV to MD program that I mentioned before and the Trino client, because in this example, we will be executing queries using against a Trino cluster. You can use any other SQL client you would like. And we need to make this client. We are downloading the Trino client from a web address, and we need to make it executable. Here we also can start a Trino, a single node Trino cluster in a container. This is because if you use this for very simple reports that don't process large amounts of data, you can actually fit Trino in this GitHub runner in this virtual machine. As far as I remember, it has 2 CPU cores and about 7 gigabytes of memory. So you can run quite a lot of queries using those GitHub Action workflows. After starting the Trino container, we have to wait for it to be ready. So we run a simple loop in Bash that checks the logs until there's a server started string present. The next step is to execute the queries. So we can use the Trino client, Trino CLI client. We downloaded in one of the first steps. And we pointed to the query SQL file, and we requested to print results in the CSV header format. Then we pipe this to the CSV to MD program to save it, to convert it to a table, and we save it to a text file. The last step is to commit all the changes we made in this workflow back to the repository. Because those workflows run on those anonymous virtual machines, we have to configure the user that will sign the commit. We have to add all the files we generated, commit them, and push back to the repository. So that's it. It's that simple. If you want to see more examples of what you can do with this, you can visit the first link where this is one of my repositories where we apply this technique to run a bunch of reports analyzing the state of the Trino CI/CD pipeline and to see if when we're making any changes to the workflows used by the Trino project, we want to see if they're improving things or maybe making those things worse. The second link points you to a project called Evidence. If you like the whole idea, this is a project that takes it a few steps further. It advertises itself as business intelligence as code, and it's about preparing report templates as Markdown files and generating them and embedding SQL queries inside them and generating reports this way, which you can commit back to the repository. So thanks.